Hello, hello, everybody. Let us know if you can hear us in the chat. I am Pinesap, here with your friendly hood, and we're going to be going over just a fun topic today. Our memories about this old YouTuber, Political Juice. I thought it would be a good, stream to do. Me and your friendly hood, we have, a ton of memories of them and stuff like that, so we thought it'd be a good topic to do for tonight. Hello, everybody.
Big Nick in the chat says huge. So true. This is a huge live stream. Probably one of the most important live streams of this generation.
For real. And I just realized that the audio from the video on my desktop was playing as you were talking. My bad, G. Oh, man.
I did the same thing.
Nice.
So yeah, we're talking about Juice Boy. Juice Boy is he's such a weird YouTuber because there's a lot of people who have seen him, right? But his YouTube channel no longer exists. For those of you that don't know who we're talking about, if you don't know, so Political Juice was this YouTube channel. It was called Political Juice, and during its prime, it had something like 100,000, 200, 300,000 subscribers, and it was basically kind of like Salmonella or Grade A Under A, but instead of just ranting about random stuff. What, they can't hear us?
Your audio cut out for just 5 seconds, but it came right back.
Spaghetti-o. So where did we leave off?
You were talking about how Political Juice was Grade A under grade.
Yeah, so he's Grade A under A. He's like Salmonella, one of these animated YouTubers, stick figure drawings, But rather than reading Wikipedia pages like Salmonella, or just ranting about nonsense like Grade A Under A, Political Juice was right-wing magatard kind of influencer, and he did these little hand-drawn MS Paint animations where he would talk about politics basically. And so he was a huge channel, and me and Pinesap, I guess, we both used to watch him. But he totally eventually went off the rails completely. I think he became a total liberal. And then eventually he was also an atheist or Satanist. He became a Satanist, I'm pretty sure. And he deleted his YouTube channel. So that's basically the backstory here.
Dude, that was a great recap of his channel, honestly. Yeah, I mean, he was totally those animated channels, did some really, really, though despite being like Salmonella or Grade A Under A, I think you'd agree and say his animation was pretty unique. And that's kind of what almost made it charming, the kind of MS Paint style, even though it was cartoonish, I really liked it. It had a certain aesthetical quality to it almost.
Well, what was really special about it, right, is it's kind of it's something no one else did or has done. Obviously there were his predecessors Grade A Under A, but what he did is rather than talking about general Reddit soy stuff, he started talking about far right extremist politics. But using the same format, and I think that's what made him special. And so he was so well known that you got YouTubers like Mumpky Jones would make videos about him, and people like that, Rusty Cage, they know him, so that was the level he was at. But a lot of people, they don't remember him because he just totally deleted everything. He just went AWOL.
Dude, yeah, the whole thing was he freaked out and he fell off, and it was really, really weird because he kind of almost fell off before the next iteration of conservatism came out, which was, Nick and the Groypers, right? He caught I think you remember this too.
Yeah.
Nuisance, but like he caught the like
Beginning of
beginning.
the Groiper Wars. Yeah.
Literally, dude. Like a month into like Groiper War happening, and he like just caught
Yeah, that
the
was the
beginning of
first
it.
time I ever heard about Nick.
Yes.
Then the second time I ever heard about Nick was when Mr. Medicare did his 2-hour live stream talking about how great Nick was and sucking Nick's dick. Well, that's like so crazy to me too. That Medicare used to be pro Nick. Like he used to support everything Nick supported. What happened? Like what?
Dude, I mean that's crazy to think about. You know what I think it is? And I was talking with a good friend, a good Groiper friend who came down to Colorado, and we were like we went to go get pizza, and I was talking about how like you notice in the early days of AF there were a lot of people who were like old heads that like fell off. Like they kind of like for whatever reason like were initially super pro Nick, super pro AF, you know, AF is inevitable and stuff like that. And then for one reason or another they always
Yeah.
fell off. And it always seems like the kind of cycle repeats where there will be like I mean now we got like the newest ones like the whole stuff going on with big tech and all that, right? Where you know you've got
Yeah.
these like big tech A-logs who are you know, talking about like, oh, I don't really know if I want to be a Groiper and stuff like that anymore. But it always seems like what happens is there's an event that happens in the movement that kind of makes people like really kind of tries their commitment. And it seemed like a bunch of the old guys, when there was the first like thing that happened, they like left very early on. You know?
Yeah. And that's what happened to political juice if you guys well I don't know. I mean like do you have like a plan for this of how we want to go through this or is it just like whatever?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we can just talk about like the first time, you know, we like encountered him, like what we thought of him, you know, when like
Mm.
when kind of his height or his glory days was when we started to notice he like declined and stuff like that. I honestly I just want to talk with you, bro. Like just have like a free for all discussion.
Okay, well then to make my point, I know we can get into like the chronological stuff, but with political juice, right, he fell off the train because of January 6th, just like the same reason like Patrick Casey and all those people fell off.
Yes.
Because the Capitol riot, it's the insurrection.
Yeah, yeah, you know, they treated it like it was like Mussolini's you know, black shirt march or whatever, which I'm like, let's go. But you know, they treated it like it was like the March of the Black Shirts or something. And they're like, this is so awful. This is an attack on our democracy. And I'm like, dude, I'm all for it. Like, I mean, I literally remember like I was calling up my friend that night. I'm like, bro, fascist America is now. I repeat, deploy Trump Führer.
Let's go.
Deploy Trump El Duce right now. And he's like, okay, Pine Sap, you gotta calm down a little bit. I'm like, no, dude, I'm ready. I'm Trump's top guy, you know?
I wish like we lived in like a better time when it was like it would like actually be safe to really get into the whole January 6th thing. Because there's a lot of takes that I think we all have, but you can't explicitly talk about it because they'll like throw you in prison.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like, I think that's like really unfortunate. Which, because there's the correct take. I mean, to put it as briefly as I can without like, you know, saying anything too controversial. The Capitol riot was a good thing. We'll just say that. I don't think we can legally get into why.
Oh, for sure.
But
And just to make it clear, me and Nuisance do not approve of any violence or anything like that. I think that's been made clear
well, yeah,
before,
we're
but just
Christians,
to reiterate,
you know.
we're Christians, absolutely.
Yeah, turn the other cheek, you know.
Turn the other cheek. Well, and I think the thing is that I don't think this is a super like this isn't illegal or anything to say, but like, you know, white America was pissed off, I think. You know, like
Yeah.
when you look at the Capitol riots, like who are most of the people? They're like Midwest white Americans who feel passed over by society. They feel completely grazed over. They're communities are dying. You know, they are the like theme of the book Bowling Alone, where what they used to have, let's say even 20 years ago, is gone, right? And it felt like a lot of white people in that moment felt this like, you know, real burst of rage at the fact that we had just been passed over by politicians so much and kind of ignored, that I think that, you know, the event was like kind of the culmination of that a little bit. Like just feeling like totally just isolated, passed over, you know, no one cares about us, and so we're gonna make our stand, right? And it was just sad to see how everything played out. But, you know, needless to say, like you said, Nuisance, like it kind of almost separated the wheat from the shaft. Yo, super chat, $3 from Wizardly Woodchuck. Sorry, we're gonna disappear on screen for a moment, but we're coming back. Discord's weird with that. Let's flip and go. I enjoyed Juice's videos. This is gonna be a fun live stream. Yeah, man, this is gonna be awesome. I'm so happy to have Nuisance on, because like Nuisance, you're just like an awesome dude to talk to. Like I watch your live streams, man, and you're always like just hitting home runs on every single one I watch.
That, or I make all of my fans hate me. It's one or the other.
Dude, I don't understand. So some of the things that you've said that like your fans have freaked out about, I'm like, how is that a controversial point? You know what I mean? Like some of the things you've like stated in your, because I'll read your YouTube community posts, and like you'll put something out that like, you know, some people don't want to hear X or Y or Z, and I'm like, I want to hear X or Y or Z. Like, who's objecting to that? You know what I mean?
Well, I think I try to make my content to be as normie presenting as possible, because to me that is what optics is it's making the AF ideas presentable to someone who doesn't know anything and like thinks like white supremacy is the biggest threat to our democracy. So I get this like mixture of like hardcore like white supremacists mixed with like hardcore communist atheist Satanists.
That's crazy.
And then there's like Christians, and then there's Groyper Christians, and there's progressive. So, you know, you have like this big admixture. And so no matter what I say, if I say something that's based, well, then I piss off the liberals, but I also piss off the people that are like more extreme than me because I'm not being extreme enough. Like I remember this like one post is like the best example of this. I said something like women can sin too, or like something like that. Like, and I was just like basically making the point about how like men worship pussy. And this guy, I forget their name. It's like he's got like the California Republic symbol from like the New Vegas or whatever.
Oh yeah, the NCR symbol.
Yeah, the NCR, New California Republic. And he said, "You're still worshiping women with this post." I said, "How?" Because you didn't say they're pure evil. You know, actually, women are far worse than men. And actually, like, Eve ate the fruit first. And Adam didn't do anything wrong. Like...
Bro.
Then I made like some post about like then a couple days later I made a post about how like we can't compromise on like the gospel, and so like if there's people in our movement that like deny the gospel, they're not actually a part of our movement. And then that same guy he comes up, he's like, "This is a fucking shot at Nick and Sneeko, isn't it?"
Dude. It's like, how did they think that like that's a shot at like Nick and everyone? Like I don't get that, man. I don't get that. That's uncalled for, I would say. Oh, Papal Groyper donated $10. He said Groyper. Well, Groyper back to you, Papal. Thank you so much, man, for the $10.
Let's
go. But dude, yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, well, because sometimes, you know, Christianity is about the balance of virtues, right? And whenever
Yeah.
people kind of like take it like too far one way or the other, like for instance, like I like the incel thing, but like you can even get people sometimes with like the incel bit that can like take it too far, and they're like, we should never marry women, and in fact we should store our seeds to
Yeah, and they're like actually like serious about it. Like it's not a joke.
yeah, it's not a bit where it's just like you don't want to worship women, of course, which it's like, yeah, I worship God, I don't worship women, but it's like, man, I mean, like some homies go too far, but then they also go too far the other way, and they're like, I don't understand what the incel thing is, and it's like, well, it's just like not being beholden to women, and they're like, do you deny marriage? And it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, I don't deny the sacrament of marriage. I'm just saying, like, guys need to readjust a little bit, get back on the right track. But
I want to get back on the topic of Juice Boy, but to say one more thing on this, though, I think what it is, really, is, you know how, like, the left will always take Nick's jokes as being serious, right? Because they're low IQ, leftoid freakazoids. Well, there's low IQ, rightoid freakazoids who will take everything Nick says as being serious.
Yes.
So they're like autistic, and so they have no comprehension of irony. So they hear Nick say something like, I hate women, we beat women, and like stuff like that. Or like, come on, just a little bit of chocolate. I might have to commit a chocolate sin, like talking about like some black girl like Candace Owens, talking about how he has a crush on Candace Owens, or talking about how he has a crush on Kathy Zhu. And then, a couple weeks later, you have some groiper, having sex with a black woman coming on Beardson's show saying, come on, it's just a little bit of chocolate sin. Like, you saw that, right?
I don't think I did see that. That's crazy.
Like, what? So someone took what Nick said seriously and then went out and fornicated with a black girl and said, come on, you're not going to hate me for just a little bit of chocolate sin.
Man, dude.
Oh
that is just bad. I was watching the other day with, man, it always seems like stuff like that happens on Beardson's streams, though, because, like, he did the whole, like, Gay 24 stream, and, like, how some people, like, I respect the people with the whole Yay 24 thing that are like, look, I'm waiting for what Nick says or whatever. That's totally fine. I get that. But, like, there's some people where they're like, guys, here's how the Yeezy rave was actually based in super Christian futurism. And I'm like, no, dude, no, come on, man. That's ridiculous. Like, they're trying to spin it so hard, and like the amount of copium that some of these homies are huffing, I'm like, dude, no. Just no, man. That's awful. But to get back, we could go on a whole rabbit hole with that. To get back on political juice, it's interesting because, like, I think the first video I ever saw of his was Crazy for Kavanaugh. Was that the first video you ever saw of his in the YouTube algorithm?
I don't remember YouTube videos. I'm not gonna lie.
That's okay.
Yeah, that one, or it was something like the Pizzagate video, I think.
Yeah, the Pizzagate video. That was one of his first. Oh,
yeah,
I remember
like his
that
second video, I think.
And then didn't in the video, that one I actually don't think I ever watched all the way through. Didn't in that video he said that Pizzagate was a conspiracy theory?
Well, I think he kind of was walking the bridge between trying to be liberal and conservative. And that was kind of like always his whole thing. He's like, I don't like either side. So he would be like, well, I think there's some validity to the conspiracy theory, but obviously, I mean, do we really think there's child exploitation rings going on in pizzerias? And it's like, yes. Yes.
Yeah, and then literally years later, Stu Peters does a whole documentary on it, and it's like, oh, wait, actually, hey, guys, we're sorry. You were right the whole time. like every conspiracy theory that ever happens, it's like, you know, it's like that. Did you ever see that one meme where it was like, go, you know, how you should respond to your friend who believes in a conspiracy theory? Hey, bro, I'm sorry. You were right the whole time. It's like an apology. Yeah. Like, that's how it is with like Pizzagate and all that stuff. It's like, this stuff wasn't goofy. It was actually going on. And like, kids were actually being hurt in this way. And, you know, there was that, it seemed like a lot of people, and I haven't done enough research to really form out this opinion, but like, I think the gunman thing was honestly a, that was just a timer for my laundry. Yeah. I think the whole gunman thing was honestly a psyop. I think because what it was trying to do is it was trying to be like, oh, look at this crazy guy and this kooky guy, and he believes in the crazy conspiracy theories, and you don't want to be like him, right? And it almost kind of like made people like turned off to the idea of like exploring the rabbit hole further. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, what the heck am I like seeing? Is that my hair? What the
man, some of your hair is standing on end, man.
I got like electrocuted.
You got electrocuted. Well, it's because this
static electricity,
bro. It's because this it's because this stream is straight electricity. That's what we're saying. It's not straight fire. It's like straight electric. Mr. Electric, send him down to the principal's office at once.
Let's go,
man. But yeah, you know, that whole video was kind of the main foray. And now that you say it, it was either the Hawaiian spam gangs video or the Pizzagate video that really seemed to be like political juices start, from what I remember. And it almost kind of...
That's actually wrong. You're wrong on that.
Oh, I'm wrong.
So that was actually one of his later videos. That was actually... So...
Wow.
When political juice started... So, I mean... I have my whole, my notes here. I have notes from my documentary. I did a documentary on this guy. That was one of my first big videos, was my Juice Boy documentary. So, the things that he, like, started off with is he made the first video he made was debunking trickle-down economics. Then, the history of the Second Amendment. Then he made his video on Pizzagate. But that whole spam gang thing came towards the end of the first iteration of his channel. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but so Juice Boy was around for about a year, right? Then the second year of his channel, he changed the name of his channel to something like, if I can find it, Choose Liberal Democracy. I don't know if you remember that.
Wow,
but he changed the name of his channel. And I think like the last video that he uploaded in that, before he changed his channel name, was that video. So then, after that, he then changed the name of his channel to Choose Liberal Democracy. He deleted all of his like political facing videos and said, I'm going to focus on being more like Salmonella. But then proceeded to make like these like really shitty like 90-minute long videos talking about liberal democracy and like what it means to be a like some like straight up American virtue type of stuff, like that we support the American virtues, order, liberty, and justice.
Was that his foundations of a civil society? Oh, can you not hear me?
That might have been me.
Oh.
That might have been me.
Oh, gotcha. Got another super chat coming in. It'll appear on my screen here. I don't want to zoom out, though, so we get distracted. But yeah, like, it was very interesting. Was that when he did that whole, what was it? That whole thing where he essentially had the, like, Foundations of a Civil Society video series where it was, like, 6 episodes? Society.
Dude, yeah, and they're all like 60 minutes, 70 minutes long.
Dude, that was such a long video. And like, I even was trying to watch it the other day, and it wasn't like his college video where it's like 2 hours, but it's like you're watching the whole way through. You're like, this is good stuff. This is good content. It's just like long and breathy, and he's like, you know, when civil society is undermined and communities can't form around church and stuff like that. And he almost was like kind of a classical liberal in some sense, where he wasn't like a, when we use the term liberal now, we think of like someone with like blue hair who says like my pronouns are they, them. Yeah. It was more like he was trying to uphold like Thomas Jefferson liberalism. Like, religion is good, but only in like kind of a utilitarian sense, like in so much as it like helps the society around us and stuff like that, and not anything further than that.
Yeah, and eventually that led him to ultimately reject God totally.
Oh, absolutely. Now,
and we'll get into that later. Because
that's actually a piece of lore I haven't heard, so I'm excited to hear that later. But kind of going back to the chronology, so he does those very early videos, as you were saying, the myth of trickle-down economics, the history of the Second Amendment, and then the Pizzagate conspiracy video. And, I remembered when I was watching him in those earliest videos, he was pretty good, and, like, those videos were kind of interesting, but, it was kind of like something where you zoom in on it, and I kind of almost wrote it off like a more conservative version of, like, Sam O'Nella, where I was like, oh, this video is kind of cool. And then it was like, I still remember to this day exactly where I was when I first watched the college 2-hour video. I still remember it, man.
Yeah, that was the second to last video that he made.
That was the second to last video?
Channel. So he made the Spam Gang, then he made the college documentary, then he made the Legend of Bunnyman Bridge, if you remember that. But we'll talk about the college documentary. So that was like his best video ever. That was like his magnum opus. So I wrote a description of it. So let me find it here.
I want to hear it.
It says, little did people know, barely even 10 videos into his already successful career, Juice Boy would make one of the greatest videos ever released on the website. Juice Boy released an almost 2-hour-long video on his experience as a freshman in Oregon University. Throughout the video, he manages to go through and criticize every social ill facing America in the modern day, from degeneracy to drug addictions to universities brainwashing students, even littering, tearing them apart with such brutality that it's insane a video like this is even legal. And that video is just like one of the best videos I think that have ever been posted on YouTube. It's something like on the level of like Content Cop Keemstar, or like like one of those like groundbreaking tide shifting videos.
It was a tastemaker. I mean, it literally, when it came out, was just so incredible and so erudite with its like just critiques of like college and modern society, and just almost that like angst that we were all feeling like at that time, right? Yeah. Like when that video came out, that was some years ago. I actually remember the year I was in would have been, because that video probably came out, would you say 2018?
I think so, yeah.
2018. I was still a junior in high school when that came out. And the reason it was kind of impactful was I that summer was like investigating colleges and stuff like that. And I remembered that that was actually prelude to my because spring was kind of coming and school was starting to get into the like summer season. That was prelude to me going to the University of Utah to like check it out and just see like what the campus life was like and that sort of thing. So like I watched that video to try and see, what should I expect like my freshman year of college, right? Because most like college introduction videos are going to suck, and it's going to be like, you're going to just meet so many fun people, and you're going to have like hookup culture and get like a bunch of STDs and probably just die in the first year. But oh my goodness, girls, we're going to like, just this like root and tootin', like be a degenerate, be gross, or like, that's like the videos like the girls would make, but like the guys would be like, yeah, bro, you got to get a frat first thing on campus, Beta Sigma Chi, right? and you gotta crush those beer cans across your head and make sure you get some sweet tail, bro. You know, and it's like that wasn't really appealing. So to have like a college introduction video from a conservative view meant a lot to me, honestly. And I almost remember I was sitting in actually the salon a family friend of ours owned, and my mom and my sister were getting their hair done. And I was like, okay, well, I got no homework. I got some time to kill. Let me just like bust out this video. And I literally sat there and as you said, Nui-san, it's like watched one of the greatest YouTube videos of all time. Like I was like captivated the entire time. And you know, a couple things like stood out in that video that I think were really captivating. One of which was how he was so honest about like the dorm environment, right? Because that's where you spend, like, if you, for anyone who goes to college who's like watching this video or has gone to college, you guys know that like your freshman year, like the dorm environment, you're spending like an incredible amount of time in, like even more time than anywhere else, honestly. And so it's like the experiences that you go through there are like really formative for your like next 3 years of college.
Yeah,
But
I had to ask you, you know, because I'm not in college yet. I don't know if I will go to college because I don't even know if it's worth it, to be honest. But you know, is his video accurate? Like, cause so for those of you that haven't seen the video, there's like this, he's like filming the like hallways, like he films like in people's dorm rooms and shit, like peeking through the peephole and all this crazy stuff, and he's like filming like the way people act and like the shit people are saying and how there's just trash up and down the hallways. Then he goes into the bathroom and he has like this montage set to classical music of just the toilets every day of the year. And it's like one day the toilet's like filled like shit all over like the rim of the toilet on the toilet seat. The next day there's like blood in it. It's just full of blood. The next day it's like there's crap in the urinals and in the sinks. It's like then like there's like ramen in every sink. It was, but like, is that accurate? Is that what it's like?
yeah.
Dude,
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was gonna kind of tie this into what we were saying, because like the college video was honestly the biggest video of his I wanted to talk about, but like it is so uncanny how accurate that video is, right? Like it is like down to a science of like how like accurate and just like sharp the video is. And what's crazy is like I mean, like I you know, I don't want to dox or anything like that, but let's just say I don't go to a very big school. So I don't go to like I don't go to like CSU or CU Boulder or whatever. So, you know, I'm at like a smaller school, and like even then, like stuff like that would still happen, right? I mean, I remember one night we come back, my family and I come back from like a hockey game, right, that they had, and I get in my dorm and the entire floor just smells like pot. Like someone like hotboxed the entire, not their room, the entire floor. And it was so palatable that you felt like you were getting a secondhand high just like standing in the hallway.
Dude, that one time that some kid did that on my bus.
Really?
Like the school bus. That was the only time I ever gotten high. It was like the worst thing ever, bro.
It's
I was like
so
ready to
bad.
like puke. I was ready to like throw up.
It's nasty, dude. And it like the thing with weed and that smell is like, and you'll probably agree with me with this, it fills like your nostrils. Like you're like choked out by it. It's like not a smell you can really escape.
It's so gross.
Dude, that's
I hate weed smokers. They're honestly, I'm fine with the LGBT shit. I'm fine with abortion, but this weed smoking shit, it's gotta go. It's gotta go. It's the worst part of it all. Like, if I could have the rest of the degeneracy in society, but like ban weed, I would do it. Like just totally like no more weed. Like it's just like erase it from human
Dang.
existence. I
Cause I,
would.
cause I was gonna say, I mean, honestly, if there was one thing that I could get rid of, it would be all the gay stuff. Cause like that's the thing that I'm like the most bothered by. But man, my man over here is just like no weed, like no weed at all. Um, yeah, no, pot is evil though. Like legit, I and you've probably heard this too, man. Like the amount of people who cope about using pot, and they're like, oh, like it like actually like opens your aura and makes you like feel, dude, it's like healthy for me. I'm like, dude, you did not finish your sentence for 15 minutes. Like you have like onset Alzheimer's with
Well, like that's the thing though. It's like pot smokers are like reprobate. That's literally just what they are. They can't come to repentance. It's just impossible. It's like a drug that prevents repentance. You can't repent. Like I knew this one guy. Dude, this is such a tragic story, but you know, since we're on the topic, I was just thinking about him today. You know, you guys got to pray. Should I out his name?
Yeah, that's okay.
He's not like that much of a public figure. He doesn't even like use his social media. But his name's like Rapture Watcher 1611 because he's one of those like King James only people. But his name's Rapture Watcher on Instagram. And this guy, you know, back when I was friends with him, he was this super devout, super serious Christian. And he wanted to like organize. We had this whole group chat of like, you know, like all the Christian meme pages. We got them all together. And so like that was like how I got at my start with like the Christian stuff was through that. And so you know you had like at Catholicism in there. You had like, or I don't know if that's the right one, but you know like the Catholic meme page, like
Oh,
yeah, there's like
Catholicism.
what?
The one that almost sounds like alcohol, but it's like Catholicism. That one.
Like Trad West was in there,
Yeah.
and people like that, like the ones that are like huge now. And so he was trying to like organize this into like an actual like movement, I guess you'd call it. But then he's smoking that weed, and he's been like a lifelong weed smoker. He couldn't quit smoking that weed. Dude fell off the face of the earth. And last time I talked to him, he like pretty much like gave up Christianity. Like he's just Christian in name only,
Oh.
but like in his life practice, he doesn't even really care about it anymore.
Oh, dude, that's sad, man. That breaks my heart. Well, like I will actually, if you want, like we can put out a prayer request for him for real, cause like
I mean, we should honestly, you know.
that's heartbreaking to hear. Um, I mean,
But it's weed.
it is.
That's what did it to him.
Of course, yeah. I mean, well, there's a reason why, you know, people laugh when you say this name, but there's a reason why it's called the devil's lettuce. It's like it is an evil substance. Like cuz what it does is it almost makes you so timid that you don't really want to change your life, but then like you still sink into that like degen cycle, right? You know, and you see it with people. It's like you kind of see it with Coomers where like they'll get so like deep in that cycle that they never really want to change. Like they're like, "Oh, I'm just good where I am." You know, it kind of reminds me of like when Sam High talks about in that one you know, that one stream he did where he was like in his car and you know he's giving all the like great life advice and stuff like that, where he talks about how like there's people in life who sometimes just want to be like the level 1 slimes, right? And they're like, hey, you're not gonna let the hero kill us today, bro? What's wrong with you? You don't want to be a level 1 slime with us? And they get jealous about people who like move up and change. But it's like there's people who are comfortable just with sin and mediocrity. And I think weed like really enables that.
Yeah, I don't know what it because I'm not like a weed smoker, so I don't really like know the effects of it. But I think you know, have you smoked weed? Like, Did you ever get into that?
No, thank goodness. I actually, if you want to hear a story about why I'm so anti-weed, I can share it with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the reason why I'm very anti-weed is I never smoked it, but I had my best friend in high school who I like grew up with this kid, man. Like I still remember in kindergarten going over to his house and playing the original Lego Star Wars trilogy that like came out that
Let's
year.
go.
It was awesome.
I remember playing that too, man. That's so awesome.
It was such a it was such a beautiful moment. That game was awesome. Like whether you had like a GameCube or like a PS2 or a OG Xbox and you just like sat with your friends, did co-op, like oh man, that was like a good time. But yeah, I mean I remember growing up with this kid, you know, every Halloween party we'd hang out, you know, we grew up in school together and stuff like that. And like he was like my brother, dude. Like I would have died there was a time in my life where I would have like given my life to like protect this kid. That's how much I loved and I cared about him. And when we got to high school, he was still his like old self for a while. But then it was like after our sophomore year of high school, he spent this summer going down this like really dark path where first it started with like vaping and then it kind of like got into yeah,
that is how it starts.
Yeah, it kind of does start that way, right? No disrespect towards. I have a lot of friends who vape and stuff like that, and that's not like you're not committing any mortal sin so long as you're not doing like THC or whatever. But like it started with that, and then he was like hanging out with this girl that was like really, really, really bad for him. And he eventually turned to pot. And like when I came back from the summer and I had gone and like you know, we had this Philmont scout trip that we went on where it was like 12 days of backpacking, and like I really discovered like my love for God in like a deeper way during that whole trip. Like I came back and was like a renewed man, and like he came back and he was just like really degenerate. Like I mean he would like cut class to like go have excuse my language, but go have sex with his girlfriend and then like come back later and he'd be like late to class. And he got in trouble with the school over like this like weird dispute and stuff like that. Over like threat, like he didn't threaten his ex, admittedly, but they were like saying kind of weird stuff in the library about like, oh, like I'm mad at my ex, and like here's what I would do to her, you know, in a like hypothetical situation or something. But he admittedly wasn't like threatening her or anything like that. I don't want to slander. Yeah, for real. But it was really sad because like at the heart of it, he went from being this like loving, sweet kid who like would do like anything for our friendship and like really cared like deeply about like our friendship, to then like a shadow of his former self. And he didn't want to hang out anymore. He didn't want to spend time with me anymore. You know, we used to play like Xbox all the time as like a group, like us and the boys. Like that fell apart. We used to play airsoft all the time. That fell apart. And it was like weed was his only interest. Like if you could get some of that sweet bud, that was all he cared about. And like ever since that moment, like I became vigorously anti-weed. Like I legit like told people, it's like if you ever are like in a position where someone offers you pot, you like run away. Like you don't mess with that stuff for real.
Well, that's the thing. Like the media has like psyoped people into saying like thinking this is like a lie, but like the whole thing about it being a gateway drug is true.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, obviously, right? Like it's wrong to say that weed will automatically force you to like eventually become a meth addict, right?
Yeah.
Right, like, and there, like, I am, like, I was being kind of facetious when I said, oh, if you do weed, like, you'll never be able to repent. Like, there are people who have repented from doing that. But, like, it's like what happens with a lot of people, it's like, with watching porn, like, these porn addicts, they start watching something that's just, like, normal. Not to say that watching porn at all is normal, but, like, it's just a man and a woman having sex.
Right.
And then it turns into like morbidly obese woman, or it turns into gay sex, or it turns into like, and then it keeps going from there until they just become like pedophiles. Like I was, dude. There's this guy that keeps fucking assailing me everywhere I go on my YouTube channel, constantly trying to talk about like how you get saved, right? And he's like one of these like really strong faith plus works people. Dude's a pedophile, like straight up
Whoa.
pedophile. Like I won't get into who it is or like, but that guy's on there, and I talked to him. I had like because I was trying to like, I didn't know he was a pedophile at first, but so I was like trying to help him, and he like told me like, yeah, this is what happened to him. He starts off doing normal stuff, and then he became a pedophile, and that's like the ultimate place you go to, because over time you need to fuel your mind with more degenerate things. So to get back to weed though, it's the same thing. If you do weed, weed's not that bad, right? It's not the worst drug you could be on, you know? But then it's like, well, now that you've done drugs at all, you're okay with doing like coke.
Right.
Well, now you've done, these hardcore drugs because you did coke. Well, now you're okay with doing meth. They do meth. Then you're okay with doing fentanyl. So it keeps going. That's like what it means by a gateway drug. It's not that like necessarily smoking weed is gonna kill you, or necessarily watching porn is gonna turn you into a pedophile, but that if you do one degenerate action, then you're more likely to do something that's more degenerate and more sick and more twisted.
Absolutely. Well, and on top of that too, it's like, it's even just the culture of the thing that you're doing, right? Like you have the like in the world of like pornography, for instance, like, people will go on like those Reddit things, like those Reddit pages, right? And
Yeah.
they'll get consumed by that, and then it's like someone will lead them to a stronger hit, right? Or like a stronger thing, and they like get led down that path and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the same thing with weed. It's like, yeah, smoking weed, you're not going to instantly start doing crack, but it's like you're going to hang around people who might smoke pot and, do cocaine or something like that. And they're like, hey, want to try, cocaine, want to try like DMT or something like that. And then when you're already in that path, it's like you kind of just almost say, you're like, sure, why not? Right. And it's like sooner or later, the small steps that you take snowball into just like a massive amount of degeneracy, because it was the trail you were going down, right? And it's very just sad to see how that affects people, and it's really why, like, in our own lives, like whatever vice that we have, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's addiction to pornography or lust, or maybe some substance abuse, we really have to be vigilant to say, I'm stopping here and I'm turning the other direction, right?
Yeah.
I'm moving away from it, and I'm moving to Jesus, and I'm not moving towards the substance or the addiction. It just ends up in a sick place. But I think it's so funny. We went down this weed trail from political juice, but it's all integral, because like that's what the college environment is. Like, you're asking me like, it was political juice's video on college accurate, and I mean, like I said, like 100%. I mean, the first week, every college has this. I don't know if you've ever heard this before, Nuisance, but do you know like Barstool Sports, right? Like that page.
I know who they are. Yeah.
There's so for every single school, they always have this like Barstool, whatever the school's name is, right? So like in Colorado, it'd be like Barstool CSU or Barstool CU. And what happens is like on this page, like they'll post a bunch of funny moments and stuff like that. And some of it's really degen, but some of it's kind of funny and wholesome. Like, oh, look, we found a squirrel and he was holding like, a nut or something like that. It was kind of funny, right? But I still remember like the first week of school, there were like 2 videos of people like loudly like you didn't see anything, thank goodness, but you could hear it like from outside the door, like people loudly having sex in the dorms and the freshman dorms, no doubt. And it's like that's the kind of environment that you're like thrown in, right? And you know, you're hearing about people like getting kicked out of school because they do some like hardcore drug, and then it's like, you know, they're half dead in the hospital and then they get revived and the next day they're right back to drinking and stuff like that. And it's like it was a place to see some really messed up stuff. Like some, like when I say that there were like people with demons, like there were some people with some real like traumatic problems
Well, you
that they were
gotta
trying to
start
act out.
performing some exorcisms.
That's real. I honestly, yeah, because you know, I think those dorms need to be exercised or something like that. They're
I mean, unironically, that probably is a thing that has to be done.
I think so too, honestly, because you know, and I'll say this: it's hard not to get wrapped up in that culture. Like now that being said, that's not some illusion. Like I'm only by the grace of God still a virgin and stuff like that. Thank goodness. But like, you know, I've talked about my friends with this before. Like there are so many like guys and girls who go to college and they're straight laced and they get in that dorm environment and it's like the just influence of the people around them like corrupts them. Right?
Yeah, and since we're on a Juice Boy stream, I think that's what happened to political juice.
For sure.
So, you know, to recap the story of political juice. So, from the freshman college experience video, which dropped in like late 2018, right? Like summer of 2018, right? Then it's 2019. And it come to the 20, so that was like a year between him deleting his channel, or like maybe a year and a half, right?
Right.
So he goes to the next semester of college and he gets sucked in and then deletes his channel. He says, I hate Republicans, I hate the conservatives, and then he becomes an atheist. He took that first hit of the devil lettuce of civil society.
He took his hit of the devil's lettuce of civil society and it was all over, man.
The devil's lettuce of liberal democracy.
Wait, so if you're okay with breaking into this, I do want to know, because I'll talk about like his decline and stuff like that. But you said that Juice Boy became a Satanist and an atheist? How do you know this? Because this is a totally unheard of piece of lore to me.
So this is like really far into the thing. So that's gonna be towards I want to save this for the end of it.
Gotcha.
Because I want to go through chronologically what happened to Juice Boy.
For sure, dude. I'm on the edge of my seat because that is like something I don't know. But
yeah. So personally, what I think started to happen to Juice Boy after he made the freshman college experience is, I think, you know, my personal interpretation of it all is he kind of like looked at the people who are his age, because he was never a Christian, I'm going to assume, more than likely. Right? He might have gone to church, but like you said, he only views church as being utilitarian, right? And if it could be replaced with something secular, he would replace it with something secular, right? But so he's going around and he's seeing all his peers, and he has these Christian background, you know, I think his mom's Asian or something, so he's probably like one of these Korean Christians, you know, Korean Catholics or whatever, because they got like a really big Christian scene there. Like I see Korean churches all over in New Jersey.
I think actually his mom was Japanese.
Well, whatever. Same.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because I think he actually came from a Shinto family, or at least his mom was Shinto.
Really?
Yeah, because
How do you know that?
I think in the college video he mentioned how when he was a little guy, like a little tyke, he could not speak any English because he grew up in Japan for like 3 years or like 5 years, and he was going to a Japanese Shinto Buddhist school.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
I don't remember that being in the video.
Yeah, I think it was in the college video at some point.
Nah, it wasn't, because I would have remembered that. that
It
really
might have been
stuck
in a
out to
different
me.
one because I was kind of binging his
I
videos a
think it was
little
in
bit.
if it is, it was in the civil society stuff, the importance of civil society. But yeah, because like I think what happens after that first year, that really changed him because immediately after that, like a couple months after that video release, he deletes all his right wing videos and he goes on his civil society tirade. And if you think about it, that's kind of like the logical conclusion that you come to after experiencing that, right? And you come from like a more conservative background. Maybe it was a Shinto or whatever, still more conservative, right? That's how Asians tend to be.
Absolutely.
So he starts going this whole tirade about the importance of civil society. He releases this 6-part, 6-hour documentary about civil society and like the neoconservative values and stuff like that. And, starts to kind of critique, Trumpism, critique the right wing as a whole, and he's taking like this libertarian kind of like you said classical liberal perspective, and then he gets back into college again, and I think that like that experience is what really ruined everything for him, is that he's not a Christian, so he has no way to cope with that. He has no hope of like an afterlife or something that would make him want to actually do the right thing. So instead, he's just like, well, if you can't beat them, join them, you
Right.
know? And so that eventually leads to, in 2020, with the January 6th thing, he released the Trump podcasts. So he made 2 multiple hour long podcasts bashing in particular Trump and the America First, like AFPAC, like Nick Fuentes, this is America First, bashing them in particular, calls all of his old content idiotic. He disavows his old fans, like what Idubbbz is doing right now. And, they're just like bombing him with dislikes. And it's, I think that's like understandable from the fans' perspectives. But, I think what really happened to him is like everyone around him, all of his peers that he's supposed to be able to, have camaraderie with, they're nothing like him, And I think that that's gonna like, screw someone up. So, yeah.
No
Yes.
doubt. Like when you're, oh, did you want to say something?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, no doubt. Like when you're all alone, especially in a college environment, like it's so easy to kind of fall into the social stratosphere of just like what's going on, right? And like,
Yeah.
oh, well, all my friends are like degenerate liberals, so I should be too, right? And I actually wanted to ask because I had a theory. Do you think women had to have a part had a part in it? Like, do you think he got a girlfriend or something, and that probably kind of dragged him further down that path, or do you think it was more like just his friend group and the general social environment at Oregon State?
So, if I can find it, he explained personally why he left the conservative movement. I'd have to find it. I think it's on Reddit. It's Reddit. He has a subreddit. I think it's r/political juice. Let me see if I can find it.
Gotcha. I remembered in your video he said he seemed particularly affected by
Uh,
what he perceived as like the racism of conservatism or something like that.
so I don't know if this is it. I read it in my video, but I think this might be it. Uh, PJ. So this is probably written by him, but he's pretending that it's not him. PJ deleted his channel because it has become an attraction for far too many alt-right goons and creepily obsessive people online. He began the channel as an illiterate 18-year-old who convinced others that he knew more than he did by regurgitating things he heard on talk radio. This invited a certain type of right-leaning audience, generic conservatives, MAGA types, far-right figures, etc. Other videos, created as extraneous fun and ideally harmless, invited a different type of audience that did not care about politics primarily, but cared more about a shit posting, being mean for its own sake, or as an identity in and of itself. And it's like, when did Juice Boy ever say anything that was mean or talk badly? This does sound a lot like Idubbbz. Now you think about it, there might be a woman involved in this.
I think so.
So it keeps going unless you had something to interject.
Well, I wanted to see, this was something that I noticed comparing, because I actually, shortly before we did the stream, you know, the link I sent you to the archive of all his videos, I was watching the impeach Trump video versus like, and you know, I remembered what he sounded like, of course, in the college video, and there was a distinct shift in his like voice. Like in the college video, he sounds a lot more like masculine. He sounds like a lot more sure of himself. He sounds a lot more confident. And like in the impeach Trump video, he just sounds really like whiny and like effeminate.
Gay,
yeah,
like a homosexual.
Well, I mean, not necessarily like he was like actually a homosexual or something, but like, you know, kind of like again like a beta, right? Like Idubbbz. You know, if you, and it's funny because so much of this like almost corresponds with Idubbbz. Like Idubbbz, when you listen to old Content Cop, he sounds sure of himself. Like he's like, this is what I think of like Rice Gum's content. This is what I think of like, you know, Keemstar or what have you, or Tana Mongeau or any of those people. And then it's like, you hear him now and he's like crying and he's whining and there's this kind of just like effeminacy, you know?
I can't even stomach to watch it, man. It's so bad.
It's bad. It's really bad.
Like, it's depressing, you know.
Well, and like, I mean, I posted this today, but like, there is something a little heartbreaking seeing him at like content at the Content Creator Bash 2 or whatever it's called, the creator fight. What was the event called again? Creator Clash. Thank you. Creator Clash 2. And, you know, he's got the post-fight interview and he starts crying, but I don't think that his tears were just losing the fight. I think it was more like this, like, a broken man upset about the life that he now lives, but not knowing,
and not like everyone hates him.
Yeah. Everyone, like who likes him? Because like the people he's trying to apologize to, they like the left does not believe in repentance. Like if you mess up, you're dead, right? You're gonna be killed in the revolution, you know. So the kind of more progressive YouTubers or whatever, they don't like him because they're always gonna see him as the content cop guy who, you know, said the N-word and stuff like that. And then it's like his old fans like us, you know, guys like us and stuff like that, don't like him because he's changed. He's weird now. He's like not the same dude. And so he's like stuck in this like weird loop where he's like nothing to nobody, right? It's very sad. And I almost think that that's kind of what happened to Political Juice a little bit, where he, you know, he seemed really sort of just aimless in his post, like, this is what Political Juice is kind of phase. And he's making the Trump videos and he's like, he's not really animating them, or like if he's animating them, he has that weird, like ominous, like wavy image, right? So like in the part 2 of his series, he's got like a dead elephant that's meant to look like the Republican elephant, right? And so like signify like, I think conservatism's dead or whatever. And then he's, you know, he says that horrible, like just backbiting, vitriolic, like, you know, hey guys, go ahead and smash that dislike button and unsubscribe from this channel. That really helps out.
But that's kind of Chad.
Honestly, honestly, it was kind of cack, honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
See, if Idubbbz did that, that would be cool. Honestly, I would support it. No, but you're right. That is gay. I'm not gonna lie.
No, well, and it's even just kind of sad because it's like he's consumed with this rage, and You know who he really reminds me of? Who you're probably going to agree with 100% when I say his name? Hunter Avalon. He is Hunter Avalon in some sense. Like
I'm not a big enough fan of Hunter Avalon.
well, that might be true. If you didn't really watch his videos back in the day where he would kind of do the 2016 stuff, maybe it won't fly as far, but like
I always knew he was gay. That's why I never liked him.
Yeah,
because I could tell he was a homo.
Yeah, it was weird because like he back in the day, you know, he made this point to like be like, oh, look at these cringe SJWs and stuff like that. And when he was doing it in like 2016 or 2017, it was kind of the trend at the time. So I, you know, like looking back on it now, it's cringe, but like at the time it was, you know, look at the blue-haired person. He's making fun of the person because they have pronouns. You know, you know, he got his girlfriend pregnant and stuff like that. And then they like got like a minivan and I guess they're still living together, but it's like now he just looks like sad and like aged, but like aged because of like sin. And he's like he smokes pot on stream and he's like, I bet Nick Fuentes wouldn't like that I'm doing this. I'm like, dude, why is like Nick like in your mind 24/7? Like, I'm not over here like living my life being like, oh, I'm doing a stream because I bet Voosh wouldn't like this. Like, it's like, dude, what? That's like so vitriolic and hateful, right? And I think almost his. Oh, are we good?
Yeah, you're fine. Keep going.
Okay. I think almost his decline modeled political juices. Like a dude who was like never really super conservative, but like was kind of right leaning, just like utterly backsliding into like total left wing degeneracy, right?
Hunter literally would wear women's skinny jeans.
That's crazy. That's insane. Crunchy B Roll was saying that. Yeah, that's real. That's kind of real, honestly, because like he would also like put on like makeup and stuff like that. Like, what is it with like these right wing comedians and like wearing women's clothing and putting on makeup, right?
Well, do you want to know the real red pill on that?
Yeah.
So the real red pill is that it's like actually a satanic ritual.
Really?
So yeah, like all right, like this is gonna be like really schizo, but if you notice, before like people like The Rock get like these big movie roles, or like any of these people get like these big roles on like the news, on TV and stuff, they always do some kind of show or movie where at some point in the movie they have to dress up as a woman. And you notice that artists who don't dress up as women, like there's this one black comedian who talked about it. They get slandered by the media, or they just like get blacklisted and they're not allowed to move up beyond a certain point, you know? So like there's like they're like B-list. They're always stuck as like B-list or C-list celebrities. They're never allowed to become like the top of the top until they dress as the opposite gender. So it's some kind of like weird like baptism, satanic baptism or something like that. Like, actually,
that's messed up, man.
When you look at it, The Rock has worn a dress. You know, there's pictures of him, and you know, there's definitely like what do you think Jeffrey Epstein's island is? Why do you think that was there? Just because the elites like to have, you know, sex with kids? There's a little bit more to that. It's basically a blackmail baptism to become an elite. So in order to become the top 1%, you know, Kabbalah, NWO, you know, Great Reset people, you have to go to Jeffrey Epstein's island and have sex with kids. You have to like prove you're evil. Like same thing with like these like gangs, these like black gangs, like they make you like rape someone,
or it's like the jump in where you have to almost get like beat up or something before you can like be a part of the gang.
Yeah, but no, it's like when you get to the top of it, you gotta like rape someone,
right?
in like normal like street gangs and stuff, that's like a common practice because you got to prove like you're hard. You got to prove that like you're evil and you don't care about morality. Well, with these elites, you got to do even like more sick stuff than that. You have to rape a kid to prove that you're down with their cause and like you don't care about morality. You're one of them. So you got to take a trip and then they film you doing it. So if you ever go AWOL, like if you ever like go anti-establishment, they'll just drop the video of you fucking a kid.
That's, man.
But that's what they do.
That is what they do. Like my buddy was actually telling me this literally the other night. Like it's a whole thing, as you were saying, to get like into the upper echelon of society, right? And man, like, do you almost think that like the cross-dressing thing is like a lower level of that?
Yeah, it's the starter level.
It's a starter level.
So like to get initiated into it, you have to do the cross-dressing. That's like that's the first baptism. It's like the first sacrament. So there's baptism, then there's like what is it, confession or whatever. That's the next sacrament.
Oh, confirmation. Yes.
Confirmation. Sorry, I'm stupid.
No, it's okay.
So their version of confirmation is raping a kid.
Oh my goodness. Man.
That's the Masonic confirmation.
Now, I guess what I would ask though is specific though to like Hunter Avalon or like Steven Crowder, that wouldn't be like a upper echelon thing. That would just be like a weird.
Well, no, but you got to think about it. Steven Crowder started doing that, and now he's like, on the level of Daily Wire.
I guess
so
that's
he's allowed
true.
to have this. So it's not that you become the upper echelon; you become like the C-list, B-list celebrity.
Gotcha.
But to become the most powerful, you have to like rape a kid.
Right.
I should probably stop saying this. It'll get the stream taken down.
Dude, look, if my channel gets taken down, it gets taken down. I'm about being like just honest here.
We'll pray it doesn't get taken down. But yeah, it's like you got to be a chomo to get to the top.
That's disgusting.
So like, I mean, I don't know for sure, okay, but I bet you, since Bill Gates and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton have all visited Epstein's Island, it's probably because they all did something with kids.
Oh, for sure. Oh, no doubt about that.
Everyone in Congress, pretty much, except for like AOC and like these like younger people, they've all been to Epstein's Island.
Well, and now that you're saying that, there's a lot of weird coincidences with that seem to make sense. Like, who was that? What, Madison Cawthorn, right? The senator in a wheelchair. Like, there was that video of him like or that picture of him like cross-dressing and stuff like that. And it's like, why is this happening so often? Like, it seems so like out there that it's a little bit more than just like mere coincidence. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because like for a homie to like want to throw on women's
attention, you notice it.
Yeah. Because look, like for a homie to put on women's clothing, like there's a biological thing for guys where like that's weird, like that's like odd, right?
Yeah.
And like feels wrong. So it's like there's got to be another impetus that like makes these guys be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, put on makeup or whatever, and like.
I forgot who it was. I don't want to. It's not Dave Chappelle, but it's like this black comedian. And there's this video clip I saw on like TikTok or something, and he's talking about how these movie producers tried to pressure him into wearing a dress for this comedy bit in some movie he was in, and they said, "Come on, you got to do it. It's the classic comedy bit." And they harassed him about it for straight up like 2 days. And then after 2 days of doing it, they kicked him off the movie and they got another actor to replace him. And they reshot the movie with a different actor.
That's uncanny. Like, that's not like you wouldn't reshoot an entire movie just to do a scene of cross-dressing. Because like, look, growing up, I didn't find that ever funny. That like. I looked at that and I honestly was like, WTF? Like, who finds that like, funny, right?
Yeah, I like it. Honestly, it's like even Bugs Bunny dressing as a woman. triggers like a disgust response.
Yeah. It like nothing about it is because what it is it's like, man, and it almost kind of comes out in like I was hearing this like kind of about like existential philosophy and like, you know, like what something being uncanny really means. And it's like, it's uncanny. Like it makes us uncomfortable because it's like a dude's not supposed to do that. Like a dude is supposed to look like a dude. And, you know, it's like in every human society, like the guy is supposed to look how you know, masculine, right? Like he can kill someone. Like if a dude's not wearing an outfit where he can't, like, this sounds crazy, but like where he can't murk someone or get in a brawl or like look like he could be like covered in his enemy's blood, like what's he doing? You know what I mean? Like even like a suit or something like that. Like you think of like oh man, the British gangster film, or not film, series that's going right now.
Peaky
Blinders, right? Like they're wearing suits, but it's like they're murking people and they're cold-blooded killers, man.
Yeah.
And it's like to strip that away is like to strip away like male identity and then also confuse it too, where it's like you know that person is like, you know, a dude, they're not a woman, but it's like such a debasing of like the man that it's like you strip away all his dignity. Like you strip away, because you can kill a man in battle and he can still like be like honorably regarded, right? Like if Alexander the Great, because Alexander the Great didn't die in battle, but if Alexander the Great died in battle, he would still be well regarded. It'd be like that was a dude who was hard. Like that was a dude who was like a real G, right? Like a real man. Yeah. But like you do that to a dude, you like debase him in that way and humiliate him and strip away his masculinity, and it's like no one looks at that guy and is like encouraged or inspired by him.
Yeah, is anyone encouraged or inspired by Robin Williams? let's be honest.
Yeah. That was kind of odd too. Like, man, oh man, the movie. I was about to say Nanny McPhee. It's not Nanny McPhee, but Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, you know, him dressing as a woman or something, and like the movie's got funny moments, but it is still like the entire time like, this is kind of a little.
Yeah, and I remember
odd.
watching it as a kid, and it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're not like, oh, this is so funny. It's like, ugh.
And you know what I noticed too, though? There's so many moments in kids shows that universally all kids find discomforting.
Yes.
And it's like, and all these kids shows, like I remember like one of the worst ones is Fairly Odd Parents. That had like the most degenerate shit in it. Like there's this like one scene of like Mr. Crocker like dressing as a woman and like seducing Timmy's dad in the show.
That's sick, bro. That's
yeah, and
nasty.
it's a kid's show. But everyone who's seen that episode, they're like, that made me feel uncomfortable. So it's like that's like a natural human response. There's like this like there's like so many sick episodes that are in that show. And it's not even like, some of it's not even explicitly like you would realize it. But it's all like really gross, degenerate stuff. And then like SpongeBob, they have SpongeBob like blowing up condoms and like making balloon animals out of condoms in the show. Like, I don't know if you've seen that scene, but he takes a condom and he says, oh, look, and it's like clearly like a condom, like that was in a condom wrapper, and he blows it up and it's like a PP shape, and then he ties it into a balloon animal, and it's like a clear, see-through, like greenish colored balloon.
Well, and honestly, like, you know, as you're saying this, like, I almost want to ask you this, but I think innuendos are honestly messed up.
Yeah.
I don't think that's funny, because like a lot of them is basically like, oh, it's the funny thing we can't talk about because it's like what we actually want to do and stuff like that. And it's like, that's like messed up, man. Like, sorry, I was about to curse.
Cosmo pregnancy, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, like,
oh, dude, it's bringing the memories back.
That was so gross growing up. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
and everyone was like, what the fuck is wrong with this shit?
Sorry, your reaction is like timeless, man. American Boy sent $5. What's up, Sappy? Just got out of work right now. Glad to see you. Glad to see you too, American Boy. Yeah, I mean, it's like, or like, Wizardly Woodchuck just said in the chat, like Carl Weezer's pregnancy, right?
I that just like unlocked a memory for me. I literally didn't remember that, but yeah, now I do.
Well, and then I don't mean to get explicit when I say this, but like, I think it was it not Dan Harmon, Dan Schneider, right?
Yeah,
Dan Schneider,
and he'd be putting all this like weird feet stuff into
yes.
Yeah, and you notice it as a kid though. That's the thing. You notice it. So it doesn't like these sexual innuendos don't actually go unnoticed by the kids.
They don't.
It just scars the kids and makes them feel uncomfortable. But because they don't understand sex yet, they don't understand what's going on. They know it's wrong and they're still scarred by it. They just can't understand it.
100%. And it's like, oh man, I just had this thought that came to my mind. Like, weirdly enough, believe it or not, there was actually a girl who red pilled me on Dan Schneider and also the creator of Ren and Stimpy. Did you know?
Yeah, that guy's like a rapist. He like,
dude, for real, he would hit on like 15-year-old girls, and he would be like, "Oh, you want to get in the cartooning business, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, I got like a cartoon." And it's just like these like sweet little women who are like, "Oh, I've got a cartoon, and like I come from some small hometown, and you know, I like drawing and stuff like that." And he would basically like groom them. And like some of the like cartoons that he would like make for them would be like like him as like a Ren and Stimpy character, like gawking at them. And it's like really weird and gross. And I remember like she was telling me this, and she's like, yeah, like the rabbit hole goes like deep on like Dan Schneider and like this dude, and it was like messed up, man. Like I did not walk away from that like thinking like, oh, these are just great like kid shows. I was like, this is some real like serious problem. And you and like when you really tie it all together, you're like the pedophile problem runs deep in all these industries. All these industries. And they have for a long time.
And in order to gain power, you have to be one.
You do.
They won't let you. They won't let you in the club.
Well, I just thought about this. Hear me out. I think that there's something. You know how when Christmas time comes around and all the kids, what do all the kids want to watch? They want to watch like the old cartoons, right? Like Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph, like all those ones.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like wholesome and good. There's like nothing inappropriate in them. And it's like, why is it that like we regard those things so highly? But even like these things that we have like nostalgia for, like Fairly Odd Parents, there's always a level of like uncomfortableness with it. I think it's because what you're saying, where it's like the more innocent like cartoons and stuff like that, it's like it's good. Like it's not just good like in a way of like, oh, it's entertaining. Like it's like good in terms of like this is something that God would approve of, right?
But that made it more entertaining.
Yes. Absolutely. Because a lot of like those old cartoons and stuff like that are based off like European storytelling, where European storytelling is one-to-one with, you know, Christian Catholic values, right? Like it's like, you know, the idea of like the dignity of human life and standing up for like people who are like vulnerable and like oppressed in a true sense, right? And like, you know, giving to others and caring for others. Like those are the themes of those stories, right? And rising above, and resurrecting, right? Just like our Lord. But it's like all that storytelling in these like more modern cartoons and things have just been stripped away, and it's like chaotic and nihilistic. Like they hide it behind slapstick comedy, but it's like at the heart of it, like something like Ren and Stimpy or SpongeBob or any of these things is like kind of nihilistic, and like it's like the message is like nothing matters, right?
The worst example of this is the Looney Tunes show. Do you remember that?
The modern one or the old one?
So they did a reboot of the Looney Tunes show, but they took it from being like just like a skit comedy show, where it's just like these two characters fighting each other for the whole episode. Takes it from that, and it's like it's like a sitcom,
Yes.
like Seinfeld, Looney Tunes Seinfeld. And so like that came out like when I was like, I don't know, like 13 or something like that, right? Would it like when did that come out? Yeah, it's like
You would have been
2012.
13. I think I was like 9 or 8 when that came out.
How are you younger than me?
I don't know. Well, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Wait, you're 21?
Yeah.
That's Oh, I'm 22, so I'm older than you. Okay, never mind. I got the age wrong. I thought it came
I
out.
don't remember.
I remembered watching it. I think
I
when I
might
was
have
8.
been. I was just more conscious as a kid than most people.
Yes. Well, and they
But
used to remember with that show. They used to do the reboots on Cartoon Network a bunch, so that might be why.
yeah. Well, anyways, I remember thinking about that show because like I actually like thought about like why I didn't like this show, and I thought it was like very what like hateful. It's a very hateful show. And that's not the right word, but that's the word that's coming to mind right now. But like they were constantly like just doing like sick and twisted things to each other. Like it wasn't like the Looney Tunes where it's like they light a bomb and like blow up the whole town, but like at least like no one got hurt and like they're just covered in soot. No, it's like they're just like insulting each other with like soul crushing insults, and it's like there's no like slapstick comedy. It's just like being evil,
Hmm.
you know? And it's like that show too always made me feel uncomfortable. There's a little bit of discomfort with some of this stuff in the original Looney Tunes, but for the most part, it's like you could watch that and like you wouldn't be embarrassed about watching it, you know. But if you
No.
watched that new show, I think it's over now. You'd feel embarrassed watching that, even if no one was there with you.
Like almost the litmus test is like, do you feel better after watching this or do you feel worse? Like, do you feel
Yeah.
like you've been edified in some way, or like there's been some joy added to your life, or do you feel like something's been taken away? Because like that slapstick, like the old Looney Tunes, it just was fun and wholesome. No one got hurt. It was all good stuff. And like when you listen to your grandparents like recount memories about it, there's just nothing but joy and happiness to it.
Yeah.
And even there were even like 90s cartoons, like one of my favorites, and hey, I'll admit I even still will watch the reruns of it on like Prime or whatever, is like Garfield and Friends. Like no one gets hurt, everyone's got like their best interest at heart. There's funny skits, but like everything feels so right. Like everything feels so
Yeah.
good. And it feels like it feels like it feels
It's
just
so
like
real.
like wholesome, like innocent at the end of the day, you know? And I almost feel like it's like I just feel like it's like this deliberate attempt to make everything just wrong and evil. And I think that the heart for us like going forward when we like make content and we make like art for our children and stuff like that is not, not just repeating Looney Tunes, not just repeating Garfield and Friends, but like taking the essence of like what were the values that made those things great and transposing it to a new art form, right?
Yeah. Nick talked about this. I think it was during Fuentes rally, but the past can never be recaptured.
No.
Traditionalism is gay, to
It
be
is.
honest. Maybe traditional Christianity is based, but traditionalism, like as a political movement, is gay, and even I think as an artistic movement, because you can never undo the damage that is done by the nihilistic postmodern art. You can never undo the damage that's been done by just like simply reverting back to like it's like a lot of people who get raped, they do this like thing where they'll pretend to be a child Like they'll start talking in like if they start having memories of it, they'll start talking in a high pitched voice to make themselves feel as though they still have their innocence. And that's basically what traditionalism is. It's someone who got raped LARPing as a child as some sick cope for what
Yes.
happened to them. The only way to overcome it, at like as if you were someone who was raped or as a society that's been raped, is to embrace the fact that you've been raped. That's the first step that you have to take to actually overcome that. Is you have to acknowledge what actually happened, and then you have to take. Yeah, that's like you have to start there, and I think no, this is like really sick way to put it, but I think there is truth to that. I think if art and culture and society is going to be fixed, art itself and the artist has to acknowledge that art has been raped or molested.
I would
Art
agree
has
with
been
that.
molested as a child. And that's how art has to come back to fruition. And I think there needs to be art right now that focuses in on those themes, I think. Which is very dark, but I think that is the logical next step. If you want to recapture classical art, I think there is like that's kind of like what Donda is. I know like we hate Ye or something right now. I still respect Ye because and I think, while he is some of what he's doing is very sick and wrong, the Donda album is kind of like the first album that has done that artistically.
I would
It's
agree.
it's art that has acknowledged that society has been raped. And when you listen to all the songs and you listen to the lyrics that Ye says in it, all the lyrics, especially my favorite one is Pure Souls. It's my favorite song on the Donda album. If you listen to the lyrics of Pure Souls, the song is about how Ye had to do all these sick and twisted things in order to get famous. And once he got famous, he had great regret over the things that were done to him by society and by the record label and by the world. And now he's going to become a new me. This ain't the old me, so get used to me. You know, Father, Holy Spirit, let loose on me. Father, I'm yours exclusively. Devil, get behind me. I'm loose, I'm free. You know, and that's the whole theme of the album. And
Hmm.
that album really does like it is like the first step of the Christian futurist movement, I think.
I would agree. I would definitely agree because like I think the whole thing that has been holding up any true right wing movement has been this fixation on we're going to go back to this set juncture in time and kind of just live there. And it's almost like what's being presented is like a snow globe in your hand,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, we're going to live in this snow globe forever. The year is like 1958 or it's 1957 and remember Elvis and this and that, a simpler time, right? And as I think noble as it is to want the good from that time, it comes out being this sick and twisted vision because that's just not how time works, right?
Yeah.
Time doesn't go backwards, but in time going forwards, it doesn't also mean that you hurtle towards progressive oblivion, right?
Yeah.
Because what does stay, and this is something that I honestly like for me the loop was closed when I like converted the church to the Catholic Church. Like this idea that like everything does remain the same. Like the tradition, the teaching of the apostles will always be the same teaching. It will never change, right? But you move with that same teaching in every single age, and those ages are different, and that's okay, right? So there's a level
Yeah.
of fixedness. There's a level of like, look, scripture remains the same forever, tradition remains the same forever, but then also this like this understanding of like, but I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, like in the 21st century. I'm not, trying to wear clothes from the 1950s and pretend like I'm listening to Buddy Holly and Elvis. It's like I listen to, not degenerate music, but I listen to like the good music of this time. And I like the stuff of this
Yeah.
time because this is the time I'm growing up in. And I think there's a lot of healing in that too. Because I think
Yeah.
that like trying to run away and like shrink back into this past that you didn't even grow up in is I think you said it earlier, but like a sick cope. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's perverted.
It is.
It's perverse. I I'm doing a video. My next video that's gonna come out is gonna be about this whole topic. But I think to get back to listening to the good music of this time, I think someone really does need to do a analysis on Donda. Like someone, if you're like a YouTuber that watches this, we have a lot of YouTubers that are like, in the chat right now. Someone needs to really do a deep analysis on Donda. That, because everything about it is like a perfect expression of where the Christian nationalist like image, where the art, where the music, where like politically what are we saying has to be at. Because like think about like even just the imagery of it, right? So Ye's he built this old church and it's supposed to be modeled off of his house that he grew up in, is I believe. And it's in the center of this big stadium, and then he's wearing all black and he's hiding his face behind a mask, a black mask, and it's like mourning. It's like a funeral. There's like big symbology in there. Everyone there is dressed for a funeral. Everyone's dressed in all black clothes and they're all mourning. And then at the end of the listening party, right before the album, dropped, they burned down the old house. And that's the end of the listening part. That was the end of the event.
Dang.
And like that, and then like the music, like musically, that is like the progression, and it ends with "Come to Life" is really like the last song. Then there's "No Child Left Behind," but that's just like a kind of outro. But "Come to Life" is about how maybe those dreams that we had can come to life. That's the end of the album, and I think that's like so deep. It's very moving, and I think if everyone who is a part of AF, regardless of what we think about Ye, I think like we all agree that this whole Yeezy rave is like awful, but he was on to something.
For sure.
Regardless of where he is now, he still did something right. And he was on to something very important. And he was at that time, the time when he came in. And then, with all this, DEFCON 3 stuff, was speaking to something very important. And he was really on the trail to something. And he might still be on the trail. I don't know, I don't want to be the person to say, oh, the Yeezy rave was actually like red pilled and based. But I don't know. Maybe he is red pilled and based, and we just don't get it yet. Like maybe there is something there. I don't know.
I think that even if and I mean I honestly I haven't really hedged my bets for Ye 24 and stuff like that just based on what I've seen. But even that being said, what he did that was good does still even matter, and it set us, like you said, Nuisance, it set us on like a new course. Like we like what he did had a further reaching impact than just like, oh, he just said some based things and then fades in the woodwork, right? No, it's that what he did was he gave us this idea he gave us almost this concept of like, you know, how we can truly move forward and yet retain what we care about, right? So it's like we take all the good, like that even like some of the prior conservative movements have said, where they're like, oh, return to tradition, 1950s, that, that sort of thing, like all the good of that, and stripped away sort of the fat, like stripped away sort of the wheat from the chaff, like the chaff has been stripped away of like this sick fantasization of living just in this like set, like almost fantasy that can never really be truly lived out. And instead now what replaces it is this like affirmation of like, we need to make like our time great, right? Like
Yeah.
we should look at the past as a tapestry of like, what did those men do to make their time great, and what can
Yeah,
we
it's like
do now to
what
make.
made the 50s great. It wasn't the Beach Boys, right? It wasn't
No.
really Elvis Presley. Like, was Elvis Presley a great artist? Yeah, he was like the Ye of his time. But it's like that, why did he exist? He existed because it was like a totally Christian, homogenous, racially society, right?
Right.
That's what it was. That's what made it great. And that's what needs to be retained. And there wasn't sexual perversion. There wasn't all this like sick stuff going on.
Yeah, like there wasn't all this sick stuff going on, and there was this real fabric of Christianity that existed that enabled people to be good and to make good things. And it's like that's what we're trying to capture. It's like we're trying to capture not the old but the eternal, right? Like pagans want the old. Pagans want like the time where the Scandinavians were confessing Thor and Odin rather than Jesus Christ. But that time will never return, and that's why they degenerate. And they almost kind of fall away from what they originally intend, right? Like, you see this with kind of like the BAP guys, right? Like, they're like, oh, this time is so degenerate and evil, but weirdly enough, they have this like affinity for homosexuality, right? Which
Not just
embraces,
homosexuality, homosexual pedophilia.
yeah, yeah. And it's like okay, what are you reclaiming? What are you returning to? What are you like, there's nothing eternal in that. And they still follow the way of like almost this wig history, like things get worse kind of mentality, whereas like we remain the same. We're on the arc of salvation that never changes, and yet we're able to be the same in all times and yet have unique expressions of that too. And it's a beautiful duality, I would say, where it's like there's always Jesus is going to be the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow, right? Jesus doesn't change. But our the expression of our faith, just in terms of like art and culture, will remain completely at the same truth that is the person of Jesus Christ, expresses itself in different and harmonious ways with the prior generations, right? And it creates something truly beautiful. And I'm just excited to see where it'll go.
We'll have to see. I think we all have to just work towards that, is pushing the ideas Ye began with further. I think that's really what has to be done.
Absolutely. I'd absolutely agree with that.
But I think we need to get off this deep, deep subject. This is a silly stream about a silly guy.
That's what I'm
And
saying,
all
man.
this like crazy philosophical nonsense. We're talking about a man named Juice Boy.
Juice Boy.
And we're
So
talking
so I was starting to think, do you think it's time to talk about his final like descent, like the stuff you were gonna red pill me on?
Yes. So at the end of his thing, he deletes his channel because he's sick of his audience. And not only that, but he DMCA's anybody who re-uploads his content, which, as you know, that's like internet tradition. If something's lost media, we find it, right?
Right.
That's like 4chan, Kiwi Farms whole thing. I don't personally, I don't like AF's hatred for Kiwi Farms. Like, in a sense, I get it because it's like Kiwi Farms targets them, but it's like Kiwi Farms is like kind of like a lost media website.
Right.
And so I kind of don't like that AF hates them. I feel like there needs to be like a friendship, because Joshua Moon, the guy that runs that website, he's actually what like in a lot of ways supports what AF supports. He just runs a website that the people on the website don't like Nick. You know?
Wasn't not, or sorry, not to delineate, wasn't Josh a pedophile though? I thought I heard
There's
something
no
like
evidence
that.
of that.
There's no okay. I don't want to slander
just,
him either. I'm just
it's like,
I don't know
you know how like
anything.
Ralph, like we love Ralph, but Ralph is a little, you know, crazy too at the same time.
Right.
You know, and so I mean, unless there's like evidence that I don't know about, I'm pretty sure it's just like Ralph just like doing a funny. I don't think he's a pedophile, because like Joshua Moon has done a lot of work to stop pedophiles.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
So to say that he is a pedophile, I mean, maybe he is, but that would be like really surprising to me if he is. I mean, I don't know though.
And I'm not trying to slander anyone or really make any definitive statement. I was just I know nothing about the history of that at all. So
No,
I've
I've heard that before, but it's just that. So what it is Ethan Ralph is one of the main targets of Kiwi Farms, because it's a gossip forum is what it is.
Oh, gotcha.
And so they make fun of him on there. And because Joshua Moon doesn't delete the negative comments on there about Ralph, Ralph is mad at Joshua. So the whole beef between AF and Kiwi Farms and this guy is because of that, pretty much.
Gotcha. Okay.
But anyways, you know, so people on Kiwi Farms are archiving his stuff, and so he started filing DMCA claims, not just on people who re-uploaded his videos, but on people who even talked about him.
Can you even do that?
Well, he tried.
Wow.
So Monkey Jones made a video about him before he went insane. And Juice Boy was sending him emails saying that he's gonna sue him if he doesn't take down his video on him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, that, you know, we all know that that's the end of my documentary, and I just say that's shitty and he needs to stop. So then about a year goes by. So a year passes and no one's heard from him. Suddenly his channel starts to go active again, and he starts publishing all these schizophrenic, like strange videos on there where he's like just like ranting about like total insanity, like he has like literal schizophrenia. And so in the comments he's like berating all of his fans and replying to all these like different comments saying like how much he hates his fans and stuff, and like fuck off Nazi. And I leave a comment there, and I like basically tell him like he needs to turn to Jesus and like let go of all this hate and all that. He says, "Jesus can suck my fat cock."
Whoa.
He says that to me.
Dang, man. So he really was like, he really did go down like the dark rabbit hole almost.
Yeah.
Because when you said Satanist, now I thought when you said Satanist, like he was like, I don't even know, like you maybe found out from like Reddit or something, like he was doing like, I don't know, sacrifices in the woods or something, goodness forbid, right? But like it was surprising how, oh cool, we got a super chat. Let me check this out. I was surprised how it was like something more akin to, you know, just him going down this like atheistic rabbit hole or something. Like that's, man. And that's sad to see too, because it's like that just means he really fell off. Like he really fell off the wagon. And man, I would say at that point we need to pray for him.
Yeah.
But that's very weird. Why do you think he like was doing that schizo stuff? Like, was it just to troll people or?
I think so. I mean, it could. So the speculation that people have on him now is that he is working in the right wing or left wing establishment, like for like Ben Shapiro or something like that. And that's what he's up to now.
Hmm.
That's the like common consensus. So that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Like you had to like renounce your faith in Jesus Christ to work for Ben Shapiro. You know he's Jewish, so so you gotta.
Yikes.
You can't be a Christian.
Yeah, you have
But
to be
I
like
don't know.
anti-pope or something like that, or like I like it's like funny because like Matt Walsh will like always post stuff about like Pope Francis is a communist and evil and I hate him, and then it's like Nick is like, guys, like we love the church, we love the Pope, we love Jesus, and like just this like wholesome stuff, and it's like, oh, Nick's the one who isn't the real Christian, but this other guy who has like blatant disregard for like, you know, like the you know, holy people and stuff like that. It's like, come on, man. Like, it's just sick.
Isn't Carson Wolf like a sedevacantist or something?
So he's not a sede, because I don't want to slander him or anything like that. He's not a sedevacantist, but he is. I don't know. I don't know if I need to explain this, but he's like a recognize and resist person. So what that basically is it's like someone who's like, yeah, that's someone who's like, I believe that the Pope is the Pope, but I resist him. Like I don't obey him, right? Which is like you can't do that as a Catholic at all. And I took it down because I did like I did have a good conversation with like a friend and stuff like that. And I felt like I was being maybe kind of uncharitable towards him and stuff like that. But I was kind of criticizing him for a while about like, why are you calling like AF Catholics fake Catholics? And it's like you're posting stuff about like disobeying Vatican II and disobeying the Pope, and so, like it just seemed like such an unfair thing to say. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
if he's ever open to talking about it, I mean, I don't think he likes me very much after like what I said and stuff like that. I don't hate him and stuff like that, and you know, I hope that he just has more love for Jesus Christ every single day he's alive, and that he just learns to fall in love with Jesus Christ deeper than he already has. But you know, I'll pray for him. Sorry, bro. I interrupted. Go right ahead.
Now at some point we need to do like a stream together talking about like all that stuff. The sedevacantists.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
The Vatican II and the SSPX.
Dude,
'Cause
that's like my bread and butter.
Did you see that video? I did a like analysis of that video. It's called Tradcath Iceberg.
I
And
did.
it's really gay. And I
Wait.
don't understand how that guy calls himself a Catholic, but yet he thinks all this stuff.
So do you actually want to hear something mind-blowing?
Yes.
So
down.
I'm actually DMing him right now. So we're talking
Awesome.
back and forth. He's a good dude. He's a really good guy. And I think with sort of the stuff he did, I don't know if you saw it, but on his channel he did like a recap video, or like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, he did a recap video and it was really good. Like because I was kind of critical of his iceberg video as well. But he did a recap video and he's like, I'm learning a lot. He's like, there's a lot of stuff that I've learned and that I'm kind of adjusting my opinion on and stuff like that. And so he's kind of in a state right now, I think, where he's just trying to learn more and kind of take it all in. But he's a good dude. Like I went a little hard on him with the video, but like he is actually a really good guy. And he actually watched one of my debates with this sedevacantist guy named Peter Diamond, and was telling me his thoughts on it and stuff like that. But he's a
Wait,
great
you talked
guy.
to Peter Diamond?
I did, dude, and that was, man, that
I
debate
want to
was
talk
insane.
to Peter Diamond. Is it on your channel?
Yeah, it's well, actually, it's on Spexo's channel. But you just look up PineSap Peter Diamond debate, and it was.
I want to talk to that guy. because I think he's like he's very interesting
He's
character.
very interesting to say the least. I mean, during that whole debate, like he just like would straw man me, and he's like, "So you're basically saying people don't have to accept Jesus to be saved?" And I'm like, "No, that's not what I'm saying, like at all, right?" And I could have prepared for that debate better. I think knowing what I know now, I'm in a lot better position. But like at the time, I was just kind of going off some cursory things that I had read, and I had like prepared like that day, very last minute. But a lot of people said I held my own in that debate pretty well, which was very encouraging to hear, being like a new guy and stuff like that.
That guy, watching him makes me want to kill myself. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, what guy watching him?
Peter Diamond.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, Diamond is an interesting guy. Very very schizo with some of the things that he says, and he's super into prophecy too, to the point where he's like gone off the rails with it. Like there was a guy who used to follow actually the Diamond Brothers, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I think he called his like cult that he made like Mary's Holy Remnant, and he literally believes that like the last pope was like Honorius II back in the medieval ages, and so there hasn't been any popes for like hundreds of years. And he thinks like St. Thomas Aquinas is like evil and stuff like that. He calls him like Thomas the Destroyer, which is blasphemous. But like I just can't even begin to fathom it. It's insane, man. It is a deep dive.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, bro. What the heck? Nah, dude, but ever since I watched that video, I want to talk to that guy because I don't understand his perspective, because he's a Catholic, but he lacks everything that fundamentally makes someone Catholic. So it's like, oh, how is he different than like a Lutheran or an Orthodox,
Well, and I think the difficulty is too, and I think a lot of people, unfortunately, with the way the internet is nowadays, go through this phase where you almost go through what I like to call the like more Catholic than the Pope phase, where suddenly you're the Pope's biggest critic, right? So you're like, and it's not that like we don't believe as Catholics like the Pope is God, right? Like the Pope can be just as much of a sinner as anybody else, right? Like, just as much of a sinner as me or more or what have you. But there is this understanding that like when he is working in his shepherding role to the church, because Christ is the true shepherd, right? And Christ is the true rock of the church. Like Christ, the Holy Spirit is able to work through him in such a way that despite him being an immense sinner, he still doesn't like teach error or like bind the church to anything like evil, right? Even if he himself is not very moral or holy.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's interesting because like you look at like popes, like off the top of my head, a good example I can give is like Pope Benedict the Ninth. Like Pope Benedict the Ninth was so bad that like Pope Blessed Victor the Third, when he was like writing in his like book called Dialogues, said that like his rapes and his sodomy knew like no bounds. Like his murders and everything that he did knew no bounds. And like they regarded him very not positive. Like the church regarded him very not positively at all. And he was like one of the worst popes we've ever had. But despite that, what's weird is like during his pontificate, he didn't teach any error. Like he didn't teach anything heretical. He didn't bind Catholics to anything heretical. He just was a bad man who happened to be Pope, right? And it's like incredible. It's like the Holy Spirit just does some crazy things or something.
These are interesting topics, but it's getting pretty late for me. It's 12:30.
Yeah, dude, I was just about to say, like, I think we've kind of covered everything with like juice and stuff like that. But like, Man, what a
Everything and
journey,
more,
though.
and more. And
What
we
a
did come,
journey.
yeah, so true. The real juice boy was the friends we made along the way.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Well, dude, I'm just happy that we got to talk tonight. I mean, this was awesome getting to talk to you, Nuisance. Did you have a good time, bro?
Definitely.
Let's go, dude.
We had to get people clipping this.
Oh, we
We
do,
had to get the
honestly.
clips.
Yeah, if you
Where are
guys,
the clippers at?
yeah, anyone who listened tonight, like whether it's like the replay or current, like if you saw a part that you like or whatever, please clip it and like send it to us. Like make us collaborators on like Instagram or something like that. Like send it to us because like I think we had a lot of great moments this stream.
Yeah. Like I said, feel free to steal any of my content if you want it.
Excellent. Excellent.
Steal, re-upload it. I don't care. Do whatever you want.
Oh, someone just sent in a super chat. Let me see what it says when it comes through. And then I had a crazy idea, Nuisance.
Yeah.
Do you want to pray before we end the stream?
No.
No? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We don't need to do that.
I feel uncomfortable doing that because it says like
It's kind of like a holier than thou thing.
Not you shouldn't pray in front of people.
Oh, I gotcha.
So I used to do that, but I've like been feeling very convicted about that. So I don't like to do that.
No, that's okay. Hey, I totally understand.
Yeah, I don't mean to be rude because like, yeah, I do understand it is nice to like pray with people or whatever, but
Oh no, dude. Listen, your honesty about it's totally fine. I didn't know how else to end it, but that's okay. Well, we'll just close the stream. I'll cut off the live, but thank you everybody for joining us tonight. This was an awesome stream. Please clip it. It was so much fun to be able to talk to Nuisance, and I hope we can like do more of this in the future, man. Like you can choose the topic next time. Honestly, this was so much fun. But thank you everybody.